Hello, everyone. Welcome to the workshop series of DevOps Institute India chapter. This is the first of the workshop series that we are introducing with Mitesh. So Mitesh, just a quick bio about him, but I believe you must have gone through his LinkedIn profile and you will know a lot more than we do. So Mitesh Soni is a celebrated writer. He's a published author and a well-known speaker in the International DevOps Forum. His books on CI/CD tools, integration of those tools, and DevOps workflows are available on all the leading e-commerce websites. Feel free to take a look yourself. There's a lot to learn from there. He is one of the few DevOps coaches who I personally know whose focus is more on hands-on oriented, structure of discussions, and he loves to experiment on new tools and workflows. I've seen that a lot of times myself. Needless to say, he's the DevOps Institute ambassador and one of our India chapter mentors. This is the first of the workshop series that we are introducing with Mitesh in this month of November 2021. There will be a sequence of this series which he will be taking forward, and this is intended to more of a beginner to intermediate level audience. Once our workshops are done and we are making all these videos public, we will orchestrate few polls, and basis the response of the polls, Mitesh will decide how exactly he wants to take the workshops beyond intermediate basis your poll response. Looking forward to an exciting session today. Over to you, Mitesh.
Thank you, Shantanu. I'll share my screen. So, good morning, all of you. Today we are going to discuss about Azure DevOps lifecycle management with CI/CD. So the more focus will be on CI/CD implementation using Azure DevOps. We'll see multiple scenarios and a couple of incidents or few experiences of mine, how we worked out in Azure DevOps with respect to specific CI/CD implementation and all that. And we'll see the demo also. Before that, I have authored a couple of books, Agile DevOps, Cloud Computing with Microsoft Azure and Hands-on Azure DevOps. So as Shantanu has mentioned that we will conduct some polls, and after polls in the next series or next session, we will decide to give away a couple of books free. So please wait for the polls and participate in the polls and join the session as well. Coming back to objectives and objectives of this session or workshop. So what we will discuss is we are going to discuss about DevOps and its journey, why Azure DevOps, and demo where we will see the usage of Azure DevOps demo generator. We'll see some of Azure repos and pipelines. We will see branch policies. Another important thing is uniform reports across different technology stacks, and I'll share one of my experience with data processing and automation with respect to Python and Pandas. So that is the objective of this particular workshop. Coming back to DevOps and its journey. So we all know that DevOps is a culture and it's all about people, processes, and tools, and how it enables faster deployments or faster deployments with speed plus quality. So it is a culture transformation practice. It is not any tools, technology, or any methodology, but there are multiple DevOps practices which we can implement. And it usually is a phase-wise implementation, and it depends on what kind of tools you have, existing tools you have, or what kind of vision you have. So usually when I discuss about DevOps, there is a formula for change. If you just Google it, you will find it in Wikipedia that there is something called um, uh, there is something called dissatisfaction. Then you have some of your first some of your vision, and then you have your first steps. And if that is greater than resistance of entire organization or the unit or the project members, then the change can happen. So usually I talk about formula of change in my books also, and I have given some examples related to DevOps practices implementation. And in this case, if we see there are multiple DevOps practices: continuous code inspection, continuous commit. We don't often take care about continuous commit, but continuous commit, continuous code inspection, integration, delivery, deployment, testing, automation testing, continuous improvement, and continuous innovation. All these are continuous practices which makes DevOps journey worthwhile. And usually it is a tools agnostic approach. I usually say that no matter which tool you use, you usually find your ways. Again, it's a journey. It's not a destination. So you are not going to implement CI/CD and reach to your destination, because this is a continuous improvement area and continuous innovations are happening in the market. You see where, let's say, some other tools were there in around 2008, 9 or 2010, and where tools are right now. So even in space of CI/CD, there are multiple tools. So why Azure DevOps? So how I started was, I started in around 2014 or something. I was aware about Jenkins and DevOps related stuff around in 2010 or something, not 2010, 2011. There was some white paper, or sorry, conference paper which was published by our team members in one of my organizations, and I came to know about the term, but I couldn't understand it. So in 2014, when I started it, usually we start with open source tools. So I used Jenkins so extensively at that time, and it is one of the finest tools we are having. And then there were multiple other tools which I used also, but there is some issue when which I realized or I experienced when you try to use Jenkins, considering how organization works. So in usually many a times it has happened that when you try to use Jenkins, you have to integrate it multiple tools, and when you try to integrate it with multiple tools, there are a lot of hurdles or there are a lot of challenges with respect to acquisition process, with respect to other tools as well as Jenkins also. Even though it is open source, installation in your organization system, it is a huge challenge, because it has a lot of processes. If whether it is available in their open source list, if not available, then you have to make sure that how to make it available. If you are not using cloud, even if you are using cloud, you have to consider cost and other stuff. Jenkins or any other tools in your lifecycle application lifecycle management, there are challenges with installation and configuration also, which I faced. So multiple times it happens that you provide a tool, and then the team which is installing those things might not be aware about the process. Then it takes again time. Then it takes its own time, because you probably need that admin rights and other stuff. You need to configure it on your own, and then there are other things related to integration with with your automation server. So usually when CMD is available, or APIs are available, you can easily integrate with your open source tools and other stuff. But then it is a challenge. And then another challenge is there are multiple choices. So if you go and search DevOps tools, then you will find multiple tools in a single category. So let's say in code inspection, you will find linting, and you will find SonarQube, and you will find other commercial tools. Similarly, in case of testing, so automation testing, unit testing, everywhere you will find different kind of tools, and you will have to provide justification at times. So I'll just give one example, that there was a time when we had to use APM in one of the project, and we were having issues because of integration, because of our network limitations and everything. There are issues related to integration between two sites, or for example Mumbai and Kolkata, or Mumbai or Pune, two offices are there, then you cannot integrate in, even if you are in a single unit. So those kind of issues I face. Other than that, administrative overhead, so you have to take backup and all those stuff, and it is very difficult. Sometimes you will have to manage those things into your personal computers. Other than that, the proper resource where you can install Jenkins and manage it effectively. So even though at times I used distributed architecture and all the best practices, it was difficult sometimes to take backup and restore. Sometimes system used to not work. The system which was provided was in somebody else's control, and I couldn't do anything if it is down. So those kind of issues I faced, and I think after 2017 also. And another thing is training. You need to provide training to multiple resources or multiple associates or people who are there in your team, and then you have to make sure that that is also well documented and it is updated multiple times. Okay, somebody is in chat. Okay, yeah, sorry. These are the issues which I faced until I came across VSPS at that time in 2016, and then later on it became to Azure DevOps. And I found that everything which we were trying to integrate and we were struggling with was in a single platform. So you name it and everything is there almost. So major things like planning and CI/CD and everything was available, and then it became an instant hit in, at least in my work work areas. Sorry, in my work areas, and also in other projects. And most of the time, customers used to come up, or projects used to come up with the request that, okay, we already have Azure DevOps, you just need to integrate projects. And in such ways, it has helped a lot because it's a single platform, and you only need to, if you are using it on your own, you only have to create an ID, login ID, and other stuff, and just the platform is ready. Within 5 to 10 minutes, you have platform ready. You don't need to install anything. Yes, if you want to install your agents pool and everything, and parallel jobs, it will cost a little, but then everything is available. Let's go to multiple services which are available with Azure DevOps. So Azure boards, which provides Azure planning, so you can have your Scrum, Agile, or Kanban related tracking, visualization, and reporting. Everything is available in Azure boards. There are multiple things here. You can have your burn down charts. You can manage your people, their leaves, and everything. Everything is tracked. So it's a wonderful tool to have. It's kind of beautiful dashboard also. Then there are multiple marketplace plugin which are available also. Azure Repos, which provides cloud-hosted private Git repos, so TFVS and Git repos are available. Uh, Other than that, Azure Pipeline, so it's fully operational CI/CD platform which supports Python, Java, PHP, Ruby, Go language, and it has the important part was Azure DevOps started giving agents for macOS machines since long. So now I guess AWS is also providing it, but Azure DevOps was the one which was having that particular Mac OS as an agent initially. And it integrates with multiple Azure deployments. So you can deploy into virtual machines, Azure App Services, which is a platform as a service, or on-premise thing, or you can have a cloud target as well. Then Azure Artifacts. So it is all about package management with support of Maven and other stuff. And test plans, where earlier it was, I guess it is right now also having JMeter for load testing. Earlier it was having only manual and exploratory testing solution. So as of now, these are the services which have been used in Azure DevOps, and that is why uh, my focus shifted from uh, Jenkins or integrated solution to the single platform. And right now, if you see, it is not only about Azure DevOps. You will find GitLab and GitHub also going into the same repository, same direction. Now, if you go for AZA 400, that is Azure DevOps certification, ultimately in the training also now they are having Azure DevOps and GitHub both. So GitHub is not dominated at that much, but ultimate thing is they are providing a single platform for managing multiple things. And that's how the single platform to manage all the application lifecycle management activities has become popular in nowadays in market and in multiple organizations. Now, this is all about why Azure DevOps, and now we will go to demo. So what I'll do is I'll I'll create one organization in Azure DevOps, and then we will see how to import one project, and we will create a CI/CD pipeline, and then we will see multiple projects where I have already configured pipelines which are from different technology stack. And then I'll showcase one of the data processing project where I use Python and Pandas. So it will be a sample, but I'll provide a scenario to bring the context here. So I'll go to my browser. Yeah. So right now, you need to create your user in Azure DevOps, and then you can create organization. So I'm not going to do too much into the technical details with respect to terminology and everything, because that you will find definitely on documentation, because Azure DevOps documentation is very rich. So you can go into documentation that way. Otherwise, you can go through my books also. Most of the things are available there. So let's try to create one organization. Organization is nothing but it's a collection of multiple projects. So you can consider it as also a unit where you can create multiple projects and manage. So let's say I'll create one organization here. Share one of the limitations also nowadays with organization. So now recently, since October, what Azure DevOps has done is, now if you want to execute parallel jobs or your jobs, you need to send a request to Azure DevOps team, and then only they do it. Otherwise it doesn't work. So you will get an error that, okay, you will have to contact Azure DevOps team, and then only your pipelines will work. So that's how my pipeline, when I started a couple of days ago, my pipelines didn't work. And then I realized that there is a new rule which they have applied to make sure that their resources are not uh, abused or misused. So that way they have used it. So now we have created organization. They have inbuilt Azure DevOps has inbuilt projects which are available, so you can import those projects, and that way it will be easier to understand things little quickly than rather than creating all those things. So if you go to Azure DevOps demo generator .azure websites.net, so if you see Azure website.net, this is a platform as a service provided by Azure DevOps itself. Now from here you can create your you can choose your own project. So I will choose this my shuffle Java based project as a template, and I will say select template, and then I can provide any name, let's say my shuffle, and then I'll select an organization. So the new organization which I created is this one, and I can say create project. So it will showcase all the progress related to how it is imported. So let's go here and let's click refresh. So if you see, this is the project which is imported. If you come back here, it is still in progress. So right now it is creating teams, project is created. You might not find something here in work items as of now. There is nothing much here because it is not uploaded yet. So we need to wait a little. So now this is updated. Okay, right now still it is not done. Let's see if we have found something in repo. Not yet. Things are still going on. Let's see the progress. Still it is being updated, I guess. So what I have already done is I have imported that my shuttle project in one of my other organizations. And right now, the master branch is not having any pipeline. So what we will do is we will create pipelines. Let's see before that whether it has updated something. Yeah. So as I said, the focus will be on CI/CD related stuff. So I'll not go much deep into this, but you can create your epics, you can create your features, user stories, tasks, and you can manage boards. Your sprint will be your sprint can be managed here. So that way you can manage all those things. Still things are being updated. Most of the things are there. So that way you can use this Azure DevOps to manage your. They are having 4 kind of projects. There is one, I guess, CMMI is there, then Agile, Scrum, and Kanban. So those kind of projects you can manage with respect to Azure boards. Let's see if they have come up with. Now it is updated. Yes. So this kind of dashboard you can create. You can manage all the things here. So this will be useful to project managers also, or scrum masters also, to see what is the status which is going on. And then you have your boards, which we have already seen, sprints, queries, delivery plans, and everything you can manage here. I guess still okay. Now I think everything is done. Let's refresh it. Backlogs we will go. Oh, sorry. I think it's not working properly. Work items. Yeah. Okay. So your repos is here. Oh, it is not updated. Strange. Ideally, it should come, but let's move towards the project which I created, or I have already imported the same one. So this is your repo. If you see here, these are sprints related stuff. Team 2 and team 1, the sprint 4, whether it has sprint 3. Yes, okay. We will not have any work schedules, but yeah, you can see the work items here. Now coming back to repos, usually how it goes is your Azure DevOps stuff. For your Azure DevOps pipeline, you need to create Azure DevOps pipeline, Azure pipelines.yml, and that you can create directly here also, and also you can create from pipeline section. So what we will do is we'll go to pipeline first. These two pipelines I already created and then deleted. So let's start with the new pipeline here. So you can select your Azure repos. Then this is the one which you have imported from Azure DevOps Generator. Start with your pipeline YAML, and this is your sample pipeline YAML. So what I'll do is I'll just remove this to create my new one. This is a Java-based pipeline. So let's see. So first, usually I go with stages. Then you go with stage, and this is, let's say, my CI stage or continuous integration stage. And then I will have jobs, where I'll have job, that is, I'll say quality checks. So what I'll do in this particular stage is I'll create a task to execute unit tests and verify the build quality checks. So code coverage percentage verification. So that I'm going to check. So here you will have to write steps, and in steps you will have tasks. So while you want to add tasks, you can have your assistant in place, because it is a Maven based application. So I'll say Maven, I want to execute unit tests. So in Maven, you usually execute your test goals. Then I want to publish uh, JUnit results to Azure pipelines and my XML file or report files as well, unit test report files as well. And then I want to execute or calculate code coverage also. So I'll use Jacopo here. Rest of the things, if let's say fail when code coverage results are missing, I'm configuring that. I'm not configuring SonarQube as of now, but I'll show if I'll find some time today. So this is how you can add your tasks. So it is not compulsory to follow this particular pattern that okay, you go with stage. You can directly add steps and you can do it the way sample pipeline has showed. So right now, what I want to do is I want to execute unit test and publish test result, and then my next task is to verify whether my code coverage calculation is into specific range. So most of the time, what happens is multiple times customer says that okay, our code coverage has to be let's say 60%, and if it is 60%, then only we want to have build or release, otherwise not. So those are stricter checks or quality gates which are applied. So let's see if we can do that. So quality checks. So this is a plugin which you need, or extension in Azure DevOps, they call it extension. So you need to go to marketplace, which is available here. and this in this marketplace you can install this extension into your organization. So that way you can utilize this particular task here. So if you want any specific task which you don't find here in assistant, you can use marketplace to install it, and then you can utilize it. It is better to utilize those which are specifically from Microsoft, and you can utilize it perfectly. Otherwise you need to take permission also. So for this particular extension, we had to take permission in one of our projects. So here what you can let's say you can enable code coverage. I want fixed thresholds. So I want, as of now I know that it is 10% code coverage only with respect to this project. So I'll do that. Rest of the things I don't want to configure, so I'll say okay. This is my build quality check. So this is how my pipeline for CI can be done. SonarQube and other stuff is added, but because of interest of time, I'll try to make sure that I'll showcase rather than do it here. So let's try to save it and run it. So this is a job which we have created. This is our stage, and this is how you find all the things here. So if you see here, this is a summary. Sorry, this is the main pipeline. This is the summary which you will get. So after the execution of pipeline, let's say if you are packaging war file, or if you are having unit test results or other results, those things will be available here, or they should be available here, and test and other things should be available in different tabs. Let's go to this particular thing. So it is still going on. While it is going on, let me give some information related to other areas of pipeline. So you can manage deployment groups. So you can have parallel deployment into logical groups of virtual machines or other stuff. Library is one important section here. So while let's say you are using Android or iOS related stuff, so in that case, you need to provide your provisioning profiles, or you might want to use your different environment variables. So in that case, you can create variable groups and you can utilize it into pipelines. And these variables are injected as a environment variables into pipeline itself. So you need not to worry about that. You can just configure those things into pipelines, and it will take those things. Secure files, you can upload your provisioning profile or something in case of iOS, just for an example, and you can utilize those secure files into pipeline itself. So you need not to store those things into repository. You can store it in library in a secure way, and that can be utilized that way. So this is still taking time. Okay, let me see. Oh, it is queued. Some Azure DevOps issue looks like. Let's see if the previous ones are still having the logs. Yeah. So if you see, this is how it usually works. So your all tasks which you have configured, those will come up here. So this was stage, this was your job. Now, usually what happens is, usually your job depends, let's say my build has to be performed only when my quality checks are done. So what I can do is I can configure depends on also. So my build will be dependent on quality checks. So when quality check is completed, then only my build stage, or sorry, build job will start. So that's how you can do, that's how you can configure pipelines also. So all the tasks you have configured, all logs and everything will be here. So you can manage and configure, you can manage those things. So your build quality check or quality gate can be considered. So if you see here, it is 18% as of now for my shuttle, and that's where and because the configuration which we did was 10%. So that's how it can be, it can go on and continue with the build pipeline as well. Now let's check if it has worked. I doubt. Let's see. Okay, some issue with it, looks like. Let's go with this only. So if you see here, uh, once this pipeline is successful, you can get all the details like test. So unit test executed, how many passed and how many failed, code coverage, So code coverage, this is some issue with the extension or plugin with respect to reporting, but the calculation is done fine. And if you see the extension, the quality check which we have configured right now also, that worked well. These are the check style, find bug and PMD related stuff which was there. So all those things are available here also. And in summary, there are artifacts which are published here. So code coverage result, then your target war file, which is also available here. So that's how you can configure multiple things. And this is just a simple example. Another one which I would like to showcase is, I'll just close this because we'll see the another one where deployment is also done. So for example, this is the pipeline for sample application, pet clinic Spring Boot application. So this is SonarQube configured, and SonarQube was configured based on the there are two types of agents. One is hosted agent and another one is your custom agent. So I configured my own laptop as a custom agent, and I provided I configured it in a default pool, and that's where my SonarQube on my laptop was configured to analyze this particular project in Azure DevOps. So similarly, if you have some custom softwares or custom applications or some flow which you want to execute in your organization system, then also you can create your custom agents and execute that way. Configure it simple as the configuration is there. You just need to execute the command, configure your agents and execute the command. So here Sonar Scanner has been configured and it is executed with respect to SonarQube analysis. Now, if you see here, this entire thing is related to creating a package. This is unit test again, the same way we did it. Build quality checks. You want to publish the results, you can publish the results also. Then you stage your artifact for continuous delivery or deployment. Then in your another stage, which is continuous delivery, so there are two things. One, they have provided release also, where you can actually create tasks and configure. While in another case, what you can do is you can write directly in pipeline as a code or Azure pipelines.yml. So you can provide tasks. So here, if you see, this is a Azure app service deployment. So you can have your connection type. You should configure your Azure subscription also. So you need to provide that subscription, and then you need to select app service. Then there is something called deployment slots in Azure App Services. So you can have your QA environment or staging environment, which is similar to production, and then you can swap the slots. So those kind of things are also available. You can deploy into specific slots also. So if you see here, you can deploy it into multiple slots. Right now, only by default in Azure App Service, there is a production slot. You can create new slot also. So that way, your deployment can be also managed. Let me see if I can showcase something related to. Okay, so this My Shuttle project, when you import it, it directly it has its own pipeline also, and then it has its own releases also. So if you click on any release, let's say, then you will find how to do it. But that is a release configuration. That this is not a pipeline as a code. This you need to configure. So your artifact will be configured, and then you need to configure your jobs and everything. So those kind of stuff is also available. So usually what I prefer is I prefer everything is in pipeline as a code mode, not the release not in the release section anymore. So this is what one important thing related to CI and CD both. Another important thing which I wanted to convey was the importance of uniformity of reports. We'll come to branch policies also if time permits. Not sure how this will be written. Okay, so usually there are cases where you have multiple kinds of applications of Android, iOS, and then let's say web application in a single project. So what is the task is sometimes they want every reports in a similar way. So let's say code coverage has to be same way, and reports has to be in a similar way. So how you can manage those stuff? So it is possible in almost all programming languages. So I'll showcase some of the things. So let's say I have Android uh, pipelines. So we have seen Java-based reports also. Now, if you see here, this is an Android sample application where your tests are also similar and code coverage are also similar. So more or less similar ways, those are available in Azure DevOps. You need to configure things based on programming languages, but then ultimately you can achieve the similar things here, because once you know what is the extension of your code coverage XML code coverage files, so most of the time it is XML files, then and the parser Cobertura or Jacoco, then you can manage those things. So now this is Angular application. So if you see here, it is similar test code coverage. Even though there is a Cobertura parser or Jacoco parser, usually the things are same. Now this is Ionic app test code coverage. So the people who are watching those qualities related stuff and everything, it is easier to them because they might not be technical people. But if you provide uniform reports, then it is usually helpful. So this is Python example. If you see again test code coverage, all similar. So that's how it helps. So in our case, one challenge was related to iOS pipelines. So in iOS, how to bring this code coverage was a challenge, and then we had to use one of the one of the GitLab library to make sure that iOS provides XCCOV tool inbuilt to create your code coverage. Now the XCCOV report was in different format, not in Cobertura report or Cobertura or Jacopo format. So what we had to do was we had to use one of the GitHub library. We had to take permission for that, and then we had to make sure that okay, that is used once it is approved from the stakeholders, and then we can utilize it into our projects. So that way we tweaked entire thing, so we can create a report format into Cobertura compliant reports, and then it can be integrated, and then we can achieve similar kind of things. So this kind of things can be done, and one more important thing which I wanted to show was related to one of the data automation or data processing automation related stuff which I worked on. So there was a case when we had multiple Excel files, and all Excel files were integrated, and then from Excel file we had to create pivots, and it was a huge task considering manual pivots creation in Excel. Even though Excel provides a lot of facilities, it was a manual task. So what we had to do was we created one Python script to analyze everything, and then we created a final report, and it took nearly 1 or 2 minutes to create entire reports, which was taking a week or so. Now for that also we install Python and everything onto our system, and then again it was related to approvals, and it used to take a lot of time, and if people are not having enough technical knowledge, then it is difficult to manage those things. So what then we tried was to create entire thing into Azure DevOps. So this is a sample which I created for one of my OSFI article, open source Kuya article. So I'll showcase just the repo and other stuff. So this is my Python file. So this is a sample file, so it is smaller, but the earlier the one which we used was having a huge complexities and other things. So this is a simple file which uses a financial sample, which is this data, and then creates pivot out of those data, and that pivot is like this, and this is managed entirely in Azure DevOps. So I had to create only pipeline where whatever execution was there, because we can configure or we can execute a lot of commands related to Python, and all the libraries and everything were easily installed. It was only matter of time that everything will be as simple as a simple pipeline. So anyone who is not having technical knowledge, they only need to run the pipeline, and that's it. Your entire stuff is ready. So that is how this was created. So this is more related to automation of data processing. So if you want to do those things, Python related stuff, then you can integrate into pipeline. So even if it is not a CI/CD pipeline per se properly, you can do those things into Azure pipelines for your manual task which you want to automate. And the last thing which I wanted to showcase was related to branch policies. So let me see if I have Angular example. So usually what it happens is, okay, not here, sample ionic. Okay, not here also. Fine. So usually what happens is, whenever there is a merge request or pull request, you need to verify your data. You need to verify whether everything is working fine or not. So whether your quality checks are good, whether your build is working properly or not. So that way, that thing you can configure it in Azure DevOps in branch policies. So you need to go to branch, then probably let's say you want to make sure that your master branch has to be perfect and protected. So you go to branch policies, and then in branch policies, what you do is you configure those branch policies here. So let's say I want minimum one reviewer, then build validation. So what I'll do is, let's say I'll add my, and this is a pipeline, huh? The pipeline which we saw in my shuttle and pet clinic also. So you configure the pipeline, and you are saying that okay, policy requirement, it is required, so it has to run when merge requests are there. Status checks, you can configure code coverage and other stuff here. So you need to provide proper formatting, and then automatic include reviewers, so you can include reviewers also. So let's say I want to include myself as a reviewer, then I can do that. And once that is done, when you go back, so right now we have configured build validation, reviewers and other stuff. You can do all other configuration related to linked items, merge types limitations, what kind of merges are there, whether you can allow requester to approve your own changes and all the stuff, so that you can manage here. So once we can go back to policies, sorry, branches, if you see this little sign, that is a branch, it says branch has policies. So whenever there is a pull request, it has to be go through the pipeline and everything. Let me see if I can find that particular example. I did it in my shuttle itself. So if we can find that example, I removed those things, so not sure whether it's available, but let's see. Completed, yeah, it's there. If you see here, there are required checks which are there, approvers has approved, no merge conflicts are there, and the build validation and everything is there. So those kind of stuff you can, and then once you approve it and complete it, and if this branch policy is successful, then only this will be merged into your original branch or master branch. So that way you can have multiple quality gates and everything, and you can manage those things into Azure DevOps. So this is just an overview of what we can try to do it in Azure DevOps. So all the examples here which I show, I have included in one of my books, Hands on Azure DevOps. So it is more about having a uniform and standardized reports everywhere with little configuration here and there based on programming languages. And what I have learned is, whichever programming language is there, it is possible to make sure that uniform reports are there with some tweaks, and probably some exploration might be needed. It might take some time, but you can achieve those things, and you can make sure that it can be used properly, and the non-technical people also can understand those things easily. So yeah, that's what I wanted to showcase in this workshop. That Azure DevOps split was an issue, but that's fine because we already had things in our hand. So yeah, that's all I wanted to cover. Shantanu, over to you.
Thank you, Mitesh. That was really insightful. So I'll open the floor for questions, but I have a few myself. So maybe if anybody else has questions, please raise the hand so that we can unmute you and you can come and ask the question as well. So the first question that I have, Mitesh, is how exactly this Azure board, Azure DevOps connects to anything beyond Azure? So is it extendable to AWS or GCP?
So as I said, marketplace can be used if there are already extension available. Otherwise, you can run scripts also. So let's say on top of my mind, if you want to use AWS related stuff, then you can you can install AWS CLI on the host, and you can execute AWS CLI commands, and that way it can be possible. Similar for, let's say, Terraform related stuff and everything. So you can use extensions which are available. So you can install, let's say, deploy on your own laptop to any other cloud also using those kind of extensions or scripts.
Okay, in terms of this marketplace, so most of, I think, the third-party tools that we may need for quality or security, they should be available. But in case, let's say, from an enterprise point of view, if we have something like, if I take SAP, they have their own proprietary tools, how exactly those tools could be integrated? Again, through some extension integrators, or is it like we have to submit it to the marketplace for some evaluation and then it gets onboarded there?
Okay. So let's say there are tools which are, let's say there are no extension available and nothing is there. And if you want to quickly do it, then the simple thing which we can do is to utilize custom agents. So right now, all the pipelines which we have shown, those are working on hosted agents, which we do not have any control. And once those hosted agents or pipelines are done, you cannot access the hosted agent anymore. So what we can usually do is we can create our custom agent, and then in, let's say my laptop has SonarQube, which the example I gave. So my laptop can be configured with SonarQube. It is already available, and I want to use it, considering that all the quality profiles in SonarQube and other things and other custom rules have been managed here. So I want to use that only. Similarly, let's say for any other tools, if those tools or extensions are not available, so what I'll do is I'll connect this my laptop, or let's say any cloud instance or any virtual machine, as an agent in Azure DevOps pipeline, and then I'll execute that task into that particular agent itself. So whatever you want to perform in for specific tools, you can perform in that particular agent, and your tools can be managed that way also. It is not necessary that you need to use extension also. As I said, there was one this quality check extension which we use. We had to take permission because anyway it is a third party tool. So before using it, you will have to take permission from stakeholders whether you want to use it or not, whether it is secure or not. So you are not able to guarantee those things. Yeah, that way we can manage things which are not in Azure DevOps marketplace or not as a verified task.
Understood. So if I understood it correctly, Mitesh, let's say if I'm doing a build of, my code, and if I'm using the shared pipelines that Azure DevOps provides, so the build and all will happen at their instance, and there could be risk of, not owning up the whole code because it's getting compiled somewhere else. So if I have to own it up completely, I have to choose the hosted instance, which is more about the commercial version of this product, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One quick question on this, Mitesh. So I've seen a lot of people asking that, because this implementation of tools and all, this happened quite a while ago. So everybody are sitting on top of maybe not a whole set, but something like they have their own get it set up. They have their own tools like Jenkins and all ready. But I'll say to an extent, they have done a lot of customizations and configurations there as well. So if there is a validation that they do on their existing tool portfolio, and now they plan to do a lift and shift to Azure DevOps, how exactly easy that will be? So is there a way to port my existing configurations of pipelines and everything with all the history of branches and all the version releases directly to Azure DevOps, or will it be from a clean slate?
There are two things coming into my mind right now. One is, let's say if you are using your TFS agent, which is a on-premise agent of Azure DevOps, then it might be a lift and shift. I haven't done it, but yeah, that might be the case of lift and shift, because both are ultimately same softwares or same they provide same services. Now, in case of other tools where you, let's say there were multiple cases where the existing pipelines were in Jenkins, and then you want to do it, then there is a problem, because that has to be a clean slate installation, because Jenkins has a different kind of format in pipelines, and Azure DevOps has YAML. Jenkins has declarative pipelines. They have started with YML pipelines recently, but yeah, that is a difference. So ultimately, you will have to write your pipelines and everything again.
Understood. And for most of, I think, the basic workflow that we do, there are starter templates available, right? So at least to get
Yes,
started
yes.
with this flow. And then it depends
And
on
there
how do
are,
we customize it.
yeah, there are multiple templates, not even starter templates. If we see here, uh, if you go here and then here, there are the list is endless almost. There are
It keeps on
Node.js,
growing.
and yeah, it's keep on growing, and you have all the templates available which are required. So the help is quite good here in with respect to pipeline creation and everything.
Super. I'll quickly pass it to Vijay. So Vijay, I think you have a question. You can please unmute and come to the video and ask it.
Yeah, so I have two questions from my side. The first one is about the templates. We use templates, right? So in real world production, actually, when we start doing this kind of things, using template is like, if you can see, there are work items and all garbage data is also there along with it. I'm using garbage data, not in real sense, it's just a sarcasm. The point here is that is it really recommended to use the template because
No,
as I mentioned, lots of data is coming. So
no,
what is the best practices mentioned to create the pipelines and the projects in the real world? Is
yeah. Okay,
creating
so
sketch is also very painful activity. So, and the second question, I'll just throw my questions once for all. The second question is regarding the plugins. Now, my organization has very stringent policies, security policies. We cannot just use the what you call any plugin as you wanted,
yeah,
and
correct.
you have to go through the legal process and all those sign-offs to make sure that get the legal buy-in and not breaking the kind of problems into that. So what is the insurance that how we can ensure? Normally, if you look at NuGet packages, we get her version and all those things. As far as this plugins or extension, how we can get those information to get things resolved. So these two questions are.
Okay. So for first question, yeah, it is not necessary to use templates with respect to that DevOps demo generator, Azure DevOps demo generator that I did only for demo. Usually you can create all those things on your own and then configure things pretty quickly in Azure DevOps. So that is not a problem. So yeah, that was the first answer. It was just for demo purpose. So I don't need to create on online and the time is saved. Other things is related to security. Yes, that is an issue everywhere. So the moment you say I'm going to use any plugin or I'm going to use any extension, there will be a problem because not your own organization, probably the customer organization will also have a security team, and you will have to verify from both the sides. So in our case, let's say in this particular case, build quality check plugin is a extension which is used from marketplace. So we had to ask whether we can use it or not. Then the security team gave a go ahead that there is nothing much in this. We have verified probably, and you can use it, not an issue. So that is one thing. If that is not the case, then you cannot use that, and then probably you will have to write some custom code on your own and then create your custom agent, not hosted agent, and execute those things in your custom agent. So there are cases where you don't even want to execute things on your hosted agent because of the security reasons. So it is better to create your distributed architecture using custom agents, have your hardened virtual machines or everything, or build agents where you can configure. And there are some softwares which cannot be installed. Let's say if you want to use that, you cannot install in Azure DevOps or configure Azure DevOps. Make the custom agent where it is installed and utilize that as normally as you can use. So it is like using your own laptop, where all the environment variables and software you have installed on your laptop can be utilized in Azure pipelines as well. Just a normal distributed architecture stuff. So yeah, that is the two things which we faced at times, and in use cases also usually we do the same. That if permission is not there, it is better not to use it, and you write some custom script and make sure that custom agent is utilized. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Vijay. Any other questions from anybody? I think we are well on time. So we met the objectives which we had laid down for this session. This workshop was to cover the repos, Azure pipeline, build release pipeline, branching policies, uniform reports. But this is, I would say, just a start to understand Azure and to leave a lasting impression and also to understand it better. Mitesh has other sessions which we will plan to be doing it in the coming months. And as you all know, like DevOps Institute has been a great platform for us to organize this. And the India chapter with Meetup, we have been doing it for the last 5-6 months. Watch out for LinkedIn for this for more details. And we will come up with another exclusive and a great session again next month. So thank you, Mitesh, and thanks to all our participants in this session. You will also be able to see the recorded session of this. Thank you.
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Mitesh. Thank you, everyone. And we will meet again.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you so
time,
much all.
Thank
Mitesh.
you.
Thank you, Minesh. Thanks for
Thank
calling.
you.
Thank you, Ajay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all participants. Yeah.
Thank you.